All right, Nick. Head to the bottom of the ninth, down 3-1 on Apple TV. So far, my experience with Apple TV has been what we'll call average. I think that their graphics, they look fantastic. These cameras, by the way, fantastic. I don't know if they have more camera operators, Nick, at these games than normal, but they have all the angles. They're really tight, close-in shots of the slides into the bag. They know what they're doing. The broadcast part, though, I'm not sure.
I feel like I've watched a couple games with these guys, and I feel like they were a lot better. I think I gave up in like the fourth inning. I actually have sound on the Dayton Dragons.
I'm not really a big broadcast. Oh, yeah, just boot it around.
Let's go.
Big C with a super chat saying sending good vibes, baby. Send good vibes. Nick's asking for likes. We'll take all the ones we can get. A bloop and a blast. Maybe we get a little bleed in the blast. You ever heard of that before? I haven't.
Ooh, okay, a little bleeder and a blast. I like it.
Bleeder and a blast. Everyone wants the bloop. Bleeder. It's better.
T-shirt.
I'll take whatever it takes. I don't care what happens. If it means that we got to walk 5 times in a row, then we'll do that. Is Diaz? I don't know enough about it. I don't know enough about Edwin. But has he got any Alexis in him? Does he got some just throw the ball over the yard from time to time?
Well, we didn't see him all of last year, so
all right. Like what I like so far.
A little less of a sample. He was sharp in his 2 He's only pitched twice this year, and he was sharp.
The only thing I know, if he has the Diaz bloodline, which is he does, obviously, there's a chance he loads the bases up and then strikes 3 guys out. So
let's hope we see 2020.
There we go. All right. Here we go, Nick.
I'm locked in here, man. I got
question for
Dragons, bottom of the 9th.
3-0 Leo. Are you letting Spencer Steer try to hit one out of here right here?
No.
I don't blame you. I was thinking no too, but
no. Last thing you want is a
ground ball double play.
3-0 double play.
Yeah. I'm not.
Oh, good cut.
Good swing. Just swing at strikes, Spence. Come on. Swing at strikes.
Good take.
Thank God that wasn't even remotely close, though, for being completely honest.
It's still I think it's still a tougher pitch than it looks. I mean, the way that the ball comes out.
Obviously, yeah. He almost went after it. He's obviously got some Alexis in him because those guys swing at those pitches. You're like, what are they doing? Or does Alexis have Edwin in him? That's probably a better debate. If he does this again,
he's the Apple guy. All right. CES.
Oh, it would be amazing. It would be amazing. Lift one out of here. No. He runs too well.
Wow.
Wasn't even close.
Safe at second.
How? How is he safe at second, though? There's no way. Oh. Can we get a call stands? Can we get a call stands? He's out. I mean, how do you miss that call for real? Did he step on the base? Don't step on the base. Don't step on it. Did he step on it? Yeah, did he step on it, Nick? I want to know.
I don't think it was conclusive, Trace.
It wasn't conclusive. I'm being serious. I'm not a homer. That I need to see his foot on the base. I want to see his foot on the base, Apple. No, this ain't the angle. I want to see his foot on the base. That ain't on the base, Nick. It's on the dirt. It's on the dirt. Don't do this. Nick, it's on the dirt.
it is hard to say that's conclusive. I don't know.
I think if we're being honest, I think his toe may barely hit it because you can see the bad ripple.
I think he's out. I think if I had to say just straight up, was he out or safe, and I have that one choice or the other, I say he's probably out. But I don't think
you can see the bag ripple though a little bit. I think you can see the bag ripple. Like if you slow it down again, you can't see his foot touch the base, but you can see the bag kind of like just barely fluctuate a little bit on the back side where he was stepping on it. That's not a good angle. What are we doing here?
Is there a spike on there? I don't know.
You can't see it from that angle.
That pinch run, though.
You can't see it from that angle. The longer this takes, the better it is.
Yeah.
And now I'm starting to get my hopes up. I don't even have the audio on, so hopefully you can. Oh, what's the webcam man have to say?
One more button, big guy. One more button. Like, come on, man.
Not only that, but like
Stance!
Yes!
Stance!
Yes!
Stance!
We deserve that. Now I feel sorry for New York. I feel sorry for New York. But we deserved it. We've deserved it. We deserved it. We've been waiting for that call.
All right, here we go. Here we go.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Come on, Jamer.
Yeah, Jamer.
Little blooper.
Be a hero. Be a hero. Be a hero.
Look at his jersey.
Yeah, look at that green screen just flickering that thing out of there. No, Jameer. Right down the middle, too. We're not tagging. We're not tagging. Nope. No. No. Okay.
I mean,
well, what's the point?
Yeah, I'm with you.
The only point would be if there was a pass ball, but you would still score. So I don't know. I mean, just not really sure what the logic there was. I mean, he was safe by a mile, to be fair. But just saying, if he left early, he's good. You want to talk about being Roy? I'd be really, really mad. Toxic
I wonder if Bubba could take third here.
What? No, not with a lefty up.
No, just if they're not holding him on at all. I mean, you know, Diaz is capable of throwing a wild pitch.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they'll just let him go. No. Can we see the pitch? What are we doing, man? I mean, I was bragging on these guys.
Good take. Ooh, the Mariners tied up the old Brewers. It's 3-0, 3-3 now.
I would love just like a little broken bat hit.
Let's go.
Come on.
Go. Jake had a lot of these big hits last year.
Get some likes, chat. Yeah, he has. I don't like the probabilities being at the bottom of the screen when they're not in my favor. Hit him. There's your pass ball.
Oh man.
They obviously weren't going to let him steal though. Yeah. But yeah, there's your spot.
Man, it would be nice if that would have just like took a weird bounce with Bubba's speed. Rolled around.
I know this sounds absurdly ridiculous to say, but I wouldn't even care if Bubba Thompson tried to steal home. Well, we got to do a show. We got to do a show, everybody. All right, time to do a show.
injured glove. Throw to first and Homer failing for the second time in his major league career. He's tossed a no-hit. Oh, gosh. Are you kidding me? Holy Moses, the second player in major league history to hit 7 home runs in the first 10 games. In the air and the Reds win it. What a dream beginning to the career of Trey Bruce.
All right, Nick. Losing edition of Chatterbox Reds. Unfortunately, they fall 3-2 to the New York Mets. A Mets team that's been struggling, and they were just in a situation not too long ago with a doubleheader with extra inning game. They burnt their bullpen, and you thought maybe the Reds were in a great spot here to take advantage of that. Unfortunately, they didn't. I guess there's going to be some clear storylines, quite frankly, and I think it's going to point to 2 or 3 things. You could argue about what the most important thing was, which maybe we will, but ultimately, I guess anything that jumps out to you before you want to get into the box score recap.
Yeah, tough. I mean, 7 hits, 6 walks. Just one of those nights, couldn't get anyone across. Jose Quintana, he's kind of an underrated pitcher over the course of his career. I think you don't think of him as one of these guys that's really been a good pitcher for a long time, but he really hasn't. He's got a career ERA under 4, and he's been doing it since 2012. So, yeah, I mean, like, I think Chris Welsh said on the broadcast, Quintana's the kind of guy that you have a comfortable 0 for or a comfortable 1 for 4 against. You don't feel overpowered, but somehow he's just able to get outs and get it done. And the Mets say, look, they entered baseball absolutely terrible hitting, but they did lead the National League in ERA, and you did see why a little bit tonight.
Yeah, I agree. I also think that when you strand this many runners, you're probably not going to find yourself in a position at the end of the game to win, although they kept it together for a multitude of reasons, but we'll get into all that here in just a moment. But first, as we always do to start every show, we're going to do a box score recap. Nick, take it away.
All right. Well, in the bottom of the first, Spencer Steer hit a solo shot, 106.8 off the bat, put the Reds up 1-0, feeling good early. Hunter Green was really solid in this one. Mets had the bases loaded with just 1 out in the 5th inning. Hunter Green gave up a walk, a single, a hit by pitch. He gave up a sac fly to Lindor, but got a very weak pop-up from Alonso to limit the damage. Hunter Green went in the night, 6 innings pitched, just 3 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, and 6 strikeouts. The Reds had 9 base runners against Jose Quintana, but they could only scratch across 1 run over 5 2/3 innings. We were tied going into the 7th. Fernando Cruz came in. He fell behind to Jeff McNeil 3-0, was able to strike him out on a pitch that should have been ball 4. Then Cruz walked 3 straight batters. He got Pete Alonso to hit a weak ground ball for a possible double play. Took a tough hop. Ellie had a hard time transferring the ball from his glove to his throwing hand. Made a last-second ditch, weak throw to India. Lindor beat it out at second base, made it 2-1 Mets. Cruz struck out the Mets' hottest hitter, Francisco Alvarez, and then got a line out to Ellie to end that inning and limit the damage. But Emilio Pagan gave up a solo home run. Reds made a last-ditch effort in the 9th, had the tying run on third base with 2 outs, but Jake Fraley struck out to end the ballgame. Reds fall 3-2.
That is right, Nick. And as we always do, we do the deep drive of the game that is sponsored by Deep South Commodities. DSC is a leader in renewable commodities for biofuel production, specializing in used cooking oil collection and aggregation and sales. Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information. Thanks to John, as always, and his team at DSC for supporting us, and none other than Spencer Steer. Lowest launch angle, thanks to the Apple broadcast of his career, he had a 21-degree home run, 390 feet that deposited into left field, gave the Reds a 1-0 lead, and that would have been the highest probability they had all game long of winning the game at 63%, as they did lose the lead later in the game and ultimately fell 3-2. So I don't know, Nick, where ultimately you want to start. I say we stick to the rundown as we always do. There's going to be some heavy discussion around Ellie De La Cruz, of course. There's going to be discussion around the bullpen walking some guys. And there's going to definitely be some discussion here soon on essentially how many stranded runners can you possibly have before you just say it's not your night. Hunter Greene, though, he probably is going to get overlooked on a night like tonight, but not on this show. Not on this show, because I'm going to tell you something right now. Hunter Greene threw the ball really well. If the offense comes out tonight, they score 5, 6, 7 runs, Hunter Greene's going to be talked about about having a great start. And unfortunately, when you lose, you're not going to get the benefit of that. And I thought he ran into a little tough luck as well earlier. Kind of had I don't want to call it. It wasn't his defense letting him down, but ultimately, maybe something else let him down. I don't know what that could have been. But ultimately, Nick, your overall thoughts on Hunter Greene?
Yeah, I thought he threw the ball well. I didn't catch the exact last number, but the expected batting average for the Mets was like in the low 100s against him on the night. So maybe even pitched a little better than his 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 run would suggest. The one walk did haunt him in this one, but it was the only walk of the entire game, so it's hard to be too upset. Much more pitch efficient. Through 99 pitches in his 6 innings. And if the Reds win this game 2-1, we're all talking about what a great start from Hunter Greene. Wow, man, he really put the Reds on his back tonight. But when you lose a game, when you strand a million runners, it kind of gets overlooked. But we try not to do that here on Chatterbox Reds.
That's right. Other things that don't go overlooked, Nick. Now, here's the thing. I really would like for you. I know you have all this time in the world on your hands, and you can do all these masterful things. And I'm even asking for help from the chat. I'm asking for anyone that watches or listens to our show on a regular basis. I don't want to be the homer guy. I don't want to be the guy that screams at the cloud. I don't want to be the guy that's uninformed. If there is a spray chart that's live and you can see it, maybe not in real time, but maybe it's posted the day after, I would like to make sure that my eyes that I use are what I see on the screen. Now, ultimately, sometimes that might not be the case. Maybe the angle of the camera's off or whatever. But I do know for a fact I deserve at least, at the very minimum, one of these guys. Now, one would argue 2. I think it's 2 tonight. Now, again, I'd like to verify that just like they do sometimes, and they go and they erase people's errors after the fact. I'm only going to mark 1 on here for tonight. But I would like for someone to tell me where I can go to look, because I'm fairly confident it's 2. Just saying.
So they do have a 3D. I don't know if you can see. Can you see it after the fact? They have a 3. During the game, you can see the 3D. The graphics aren't necessarily great, but you can see where they were positioned. So you can go look through that.
All right. I mean, I'll find it. I want to look for it. This isn't like even it's semi-bit. I'm not going to lie. It's a semi-bit. But at the same time, I really do think, I do think that it matters. And unfortunately, I'm hopeful that the Reds are on the opposite side of this, because ultimately, at the end of the day, every time I win on here, I lose in real life. So I don't really like the fact that the shift counter is tallying in my favor when in reality it hurts my heart. It's just not a good thing. So I'm in a lose-lose situation, as some would say. Or maybe it's a win-win. I don't know. I'm trying to figure that one out on the fly. Let's talk about the Reds offense. That's what everybody probably wants to discuss. I'm not going to overreact tonight. Like, I guess my point is I watched some good at-bats tonight, and they were hard-hit balls, and they just didn't find a hole. Like Spencer Steer's ball, if it's 2 feet to the right or left, 2 more feet to the right, I guess, we're talking about a whole different situation, a whole different game. And I know that's part of baseball. It's what ifs and buts, we're candy and nuts. We'd all have a jolly good time. And at the same time, you could go through a whole litany of things that would have happened differently if it was only 2 or 3 feet this way or that way. But I thought they had some good at-bats tonight. Now, there was a couple of bats that were in meaningful moments that we all can agree probably didn't go the way in which many would have hoped. I don't want to jump on the Ellie kind of at-bat right off the rip. But that was a tough one, clearly. But there was other opportunities. Jeimer Candelario had opportunity earlier in the game. He wasn't able to cash in. You have it in front of you, I'm sure, somewhere. What did we ultimately end up stranding? Because if Jonathan India didn't tag up on, I don't want to call it a worthless tag up, but if he didn't tag up, it would have been really bad.
0 for 11 with runners in scoring position.
0 for 11. Stranded 12 guys. You score 2 runs. That's the story.
Yeah, some nights you just don't score. I mean, the Reds aren't a very good hitting team against left-handed pitching. I mean, I guess they had base runners tonight, though. Like, there's a lot of nights where you go, well, you only had 5 or 6 base runners the whole night. They had, I think, 13 base runners. So,
Yeah,
I mean, it's just not your night. Credit to the Mets a little bit. Again, as I said, they did lead the National League in ERA coming into the game. They have some good pitchers. The 4 guys they ran through in the bullpen are all well above average pitchers. That's a really good bullpen. They put a lot of resources into their bullpen. They didn't put a lot of resources anywhere else this offseason, but they really did it into their bullpen, and they got the job done tonight.
They did. And I mean, listen, Candelario, thankfully he got himself a I don't want to call it a big hit, but he got a meaningful hit that extended the inning, gave the Reds a chance to again strand runners in scoring position. But it was he's starting to get on the level for me of concerned, not so much like I wouldn't call it panic at this moment, but anytime you have somebody new, you'd like them to get off to a decent start so they don't start pressing or doing things outside of their realm. And not to say that Candelario is there yet, but it was nice to see him get a nice a double. Let's talk about the the Elliott bat. CES also hit a piss missile to the shortstop that was caught, but that's here nor there. But let's talk about Ellie. Ellie obviously lacks a little confidence from the right side, and I would really like Ellie to get back to the swagger that he had. And in this part of being young, I get it, but at the same time, it's like it's easier said than done. I know I'm asking for a 22-year-old to kind of weather the storm a little better than maybe he had, but it feels like a little bit that he's allowing one mistake to compound the next, and then he's losing a little bit of this confidence, his swag that he's had. It's not overly concerning, perhaps, for me yet, but again, I would have loved for him to be a little more aggressive, rightfully so, hindsight 2020, of course, with bases loaded, right? You don't want to get cheated up there, and unfortunately, he just didn't even give himself a chance. And to be fair, Nick, not to sound like overly protective of Ellie, but that's a pitch that was the only pitch he's seen during the entire bat. It's safe to say that he just didn't see it well at all. Or he was being a little too selective, and or he was looking, I don't want to say he was guessing, but at the same time, maybe he was guessing and he just guessed wrong 4 straight times. Your thought?
It does feel like Ellie has a better idea of the strike zone like later in the at-bats than on the first pitch. It feels like he'll either hack at some pitches way out of the strike zone or take some pitches right down the middle. I don't have any data to back that up, just kind of,
sure.
What I kind of feel the at-bats are. I know it's easy right now to pile on. Did have a double tonight. He's hitting 250 with a 705 OPS. Brooks Raley is a left-handed pitcher, a really good left-handed pitcher, back-to-back years, sub-3 ERA. So if we really want to be that microscopic on Elly De La Cruz and really look deep into at-bats against really good left-handed pitchers, which is clearly his struggle. I mean, it kind of is what it is, but it's just, you hope you just see him keep improving. You hope that as the season goes on, he's able to get a couple hits in those spots, but that's not a good spot for him. It would have been a good spot for it definitely would have been a good spot for Will Benson, would have been a terrible spot for Jake Fraley. Right. So, you kind of have to look at it from, I think, a couple different angles there.
Yeah, I'm not. Listen, there's going to be people that are already screaming and yelling about the switch hitting situation with him. I just don't think you can give up on the switch hitting this soon. But and I would also argue, like, if he's not really faced lefty on lefty a whole lot in his entire life, that's probably another adjustment he's going to have to make. He's not just going to do that on the fly. That's not going to happen on the fly. Like it or not, he's going to be switch hitting for the remainder of the year unless it goes really bad. And to be honest with you, it hasn't been that atrocious from the right side. So I don't know. It's just, I hate to be this way because sometimes when you get on a postgame show, you want to have certain clear, precise takes that are hard stanced. But what you get on the show is honest reactions, and sometimes those honest reactions aren't what maybe people want. But I think at the end of the day, we're going to have to live with Ellie. And the fact of the matter is, too, I want everybody to know the air or whatever you'd like to call it. It's not an easy play, but I don't think he should have been there in the first place, which is why I have a tally on my board here. But my overall message is, and this is something that people are going to hate me for saying, it is also very cold outside. And I'm not trying to make that as like a big excuse, but I'll be honest with you. When you have players that are from the South and or from the Dominican, or they're from Puerto Rico, or they're from somewhere where they're used to playing in warm weather, I'm going to tell you right now, there's northern players that I play with. I played in cold weather. And I can tell you right now, you're a different player. Like, there are times when it's that cold outside that you're a different player. And fortunately, I'm hopeful. If you want me to try to spin it and give you a half full take here, I think that when it warms up, hopefully Ellie will be a little more comfortable and we'll see a better Ellie De La Cruz. Sticking on the Reds offense, one last little point I wanted to make. We're missing guys on left-handed pitching, and we know that. We can't talk about that every show, but every time there's a left-handed pitcher, you know what it is. We know what it is. Anybody that follows this team club closely, we all know the deal. We're missing some guys that are important against left-handed pitching. That's a fact. I mean, with all due respect to, some of these guys that were running out there, Espinal, no offense, but Matt McClain, Noelvi Marte are big deals. TJ Friedl, I get it, lefty on lefty, but TJ Friedl's splits are not that bad at lefty on lefty. He's another addition to the lineup. The biggest positive I'm going to give out of all of this, though, that I think's coming out of this, accidentally, is that Will Benson might start to be playing himself into a possible role of an everyday type of player. Possibly. As you look up the analytics to tell me I'm wrong, please.
He can walk against the lefty.
Oh, shit. He gets on base.
Yeah, I mean, you need a little more than just, a 320 on base percentage, but I don't know. It's a tough lineup. I mean, you're really thankful you have Spencer Steer, who I legitimately think is one of the best one of the best batters in the sport right now against left-handed pitching. Jonathan India, really good night for him, 3 hits as well. He's had some weird kind of reverse splits. I think that's going to kind of even out for him. He just seems like a guy that I think is going to eventually hit lefties better than righties. CES, I don't feel that way about, but I do think Jonathan India will settle in and be a guy that hits lefties really well as time does go on. But it's, I mean, you get past like Candelario. I mean, it's pretty tough against the lefty.
Yeah. No, listen, I think people are obviously going to be a little upset with what I said about Ellie, and I see some people saying, well, he played in Dayton and all these things. Like, I'm not arguing he's never played in cold weather. That's not my take. My take is that probably my best guess is that it's not a comfortable situation that he's found himself in, playing in extremely cold weather the last few days. And not that I am excusing all of his mistakes because of that. Trust me. I got railroaded the other day for saying I wanted to take him out on X. So, I'm just trying to be fair. That's all. Just trying to be a little fair to the guy. All right. Next on the rundown is going to be the Game Time app. For those that don't know, Game Time is a national company that supports our small show, and we very much appreciate that out of them. You can download the Game Time app, find the best tickets on the market. 2 clicks, Nick. 2 clicks. And you can have your tickets. Check out. You can click the all-in pricing. Use the code CINCY, C-I-N-C-Y. That's C-I-N-C-Y, Cincy, for $20 off your first purchase. And that is the Game Time app. Download it on any of your platforms, mobile devices, whatever it may be. And you will also find how easy that app is, and you'll probably like it, just like me. All right. Walks will haunt. We know that in Cincinnati. It is something that is pretty much ingrained in our brain. And the problem that I have with the whole Cruz thing is that I really don't. I guess, for lack of a better term, my discomfort, my frustration comes from the offense, and not so much. Listen, these guys are human. The Reds gave up 3 runs today, and I know that he walked 3 guys, but he also kind of got himself out of it, if we're being honest, at least in my opinion. So your overall thoughts on Fernando Cruz, You never want to walk 3 guys, but I also don't think it was like the end of the world either.
Yeah, I mean, he just has these games like this. It just, man, it really stinks to give it to the Mets because this is a team that came in historically struggling. I mean, you can't be struggling offensively more than them, and to walk 3 batters, that's tough. That's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, you see the talent with him. You see how he's able to somehow get out of that inning.
Right.
Ironically enough, the guy who struck out was the guy that came in with an OPS over 1,000. Literally the only guy on the Mets that's been hitting. So he has the talent, but yeah, that's really tough. I mean, it's just you pretty much gave the game to the Mets. I mean, they and you hope that. I mean, the Mets only scored 3 runs, but now the Mets have won 2 in a row. They had all the bad vibes in the world starting 0-5. You hope you didn't kind of, make them go. I mean, they're feeling a little better than they felt about 24 hours ago this time, maybe 30 hours ago when they lost
Right.
the first game of that doubleheader. But yeah, that was just a brutal inning to start. But yeah, I mean, he has all the talent. There's just not really much more to say other than, part of it's not his night, but you also can't do that. But you learn.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, sometimes you don't have it. And the cool thing about Cruz is that he does have stuff that can get him out of nights where he can limit the damage on nights when he doesn't have really control of command of some of his pitches. He tried to throw, I think the cutter a couple times, and it wasn't there. And he fortunately has that split finger to where if he can continue to throw that consistently for anywhere close to a strike, then he's got a cheat code. Alonso was looking for a first pitch fastball, and he got the split finger, and he missed it by like 4 feet. So, Cruz, I'd rather be on the side of having good stuff and having off nights more often maybe than to not have good stuff at all and get yourself in a position where you got to be perfect to get outs. Off the top of my head, Antone came in. I was running around doing some things, so my apologies. Remind me here. Who did McNeil hit the home run off of?
Pagan.
Okay. So
Antone did throw a shutout inning.
Yep.
Walked one, didn't strike anyone out.
All right. Fair enough. What else are we supposed to say, chat? What else are we supposed to say? We'll take questions. We'll take comments. We'll take concerns. We'll take whatever you'd like right now, chat. We're here to interact. We're here to have fun. But the truth is that it's a loss of 1 of 162, and I hate to say it like that, but some of these times they go your way and sometimes they don't. This team had chances, man. They had so many damn chances, which makes it a little disappointing because you felt like you caught a break here in the last inning, if we're being honest, right? You get a double play ball that probably is a double play, but fortunately the umpire called a safe call. They review it. It does, in my opinion, look like the bag rippled just a little bit when Lindor stepped on the bag, but they said the play stands. You get another chance. Candyman comes up there, flies out on the first pitch, and then you ultimately have the strikeout by Fraley. So, thoughts, comments, concerns from the chat. Nick, got anything to add?
We got one question we kind of talked about a little bit earlier, but we could go a little bit more in depth. Dylan Rutschman asked thoughts on Apple TV, the Apple TV broadcast.
You want me to start it off?
Yeah, go for it.
I got to be honest. I like it. I really do. I think that I don't know if it's because on the Apple TV platform they have the capabilities of showing it in 4K. I don't know if they have better cameras. I don't know if they have better camera operators. I don't know what Apple TV does specifically from the actual aesthetics. That's the right term? The aesthetics of the actual game. The graphics are kind of very, very basic, 2-dimensional. They're not like in your face. They have kind of like little subliminal analytical things that are kind of fun to look at from time to time. The percentage chance of RBIs in an RBI spot, the percentage chance of strikeouts, percentage chance of reaching on base. I think they mix that around a good amount. So I overall, quite frankly, love it. I think they're just missing, and I know it's not easy. They paid they paid a bunch of money, but they're only doing what? They do games every Friday, right? It's not like they have this on all the time.
They do a doubleheader, though.
They do a doubleheader every Friday, but my main point is I don't know it is Apple though. I mean, they got more money than God. So I mean, they could probably pay a big time announcer. I'm not trying to crush broadcasters because at the end of the day, I think it's kind of one of those acquired tastes for some broadcasters. If you only listen to them one time, maybe you don't like them. But if you had to listen to that guy over the course of 162, maybe we like him. I don't know. But I'll just say it wasn't my cup of tea. And then I switched over to the home broadcast, and then it felt like it was too dead. Like all of the game sound kind of went away. So I was stuck between a rock and a hard place. So I ended up just listening to the main broadcast. But I loved it. Your thoughts, Nick?
Yeah, I will say the play-by-play broadcaster, Alex, I can't remember his last name. I think he is a quality broadcaster. I think he had a rough night. I think he maybe didn't get all the best research in on this one. But I've listened to him before, and I think he's Alex Faust, I think his name. I think he is a good broadcaster. I think you'd like him if you listen to him more. But I love the feature of being able to turn on a radio because you watch these national broadcasts, and if you're someone who watches the team every day, you're going to know more than the guys that tried to learn about the team 3 days ago. It's tough. If you watch a college basketball team, it's the same way if you're really dialed in. So you don't want to crush the national guys too much, but I do like that option. I agree. It didn't sound as full, but if you were kind of like me and you're kind of doing some other things while you're watching it, it was fine. But yeah, the graphics are phenomenal, man. If I could get the Apple TV broadcast with John Sadak and Chris Welsh, I'd be in heaven every night.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get that though because unfortunately, I don't know if you've seen the P&L statement from Bally. I don't think
9 lives, man.
I don't think it's looking good. I think Bally's in some problems based off the rumor mill, based off what I've seen in the old paper.
They think they're going to be able to get another year out of this.
No.
They filed something in bankruptcy, and teams like the Reds are like one of the most profitable teams for them. So they're dragging this out as long as they can.
How piss poor is it?
You know it's not going to last.
How terrible is it to know, though? Like, if you're the ownership group of the Reds, maybe not. Maybe you're thankful that that they're able. But like, how do you feel knowing that they've basically decided that's just they've signed a bad deal for like eight or nine other teams, but the one team that they're making that boatload of money off of because they didn't pay enough for the rights is the Reds. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you could look at it both ways, but if I'm the Reds, I'm thinking, oh, we probably should have asked for some more money based off of where we're at here. But who knows?
Yeah, the longer this goes on, they've never really publicly released the Reds' money, but the longer Bally keeps hanging on to him, you start realizing, yeah, the Reds probably aren't getting anywhere close to what they should be getting.
That's fair. Also in the chat, folks are suggesting. Alex says that the Reds own half of Bally, Cincinnati. So I don't know if that's true. That's the chat. That's Alex. So asterisk on that. But it could be true. Any other final thoughts here before we get into Reds MILB? I see a lot of folks concerned about Ellie. I see, some suggesting that the Reds are ruining Ellie. I don't mean to giggle or laugh. All I'm saying is like let's all pump the brakes a little bit. The Reds aren't going to ruin any player, okay? The player has to grow up. The player has to develop. The player has to get better. I'm not sitting here suggesting that the Reds can't have any impact at all on him. But he's a grown boy, all right. He's able to dress himself in the morning. He'll wake up one day and he'll be fine, just like he already is. And we don't have to worry about the Reds ruining him. Now, if he ends up being the player we all hope for, that's a different story. But I don't think that we have to worry about that. I don't know. I mean, we're all disappointed that Ellie's not playing maybe a little bit better defensively. And this is where that out's above average. I just don't know. But I'm going to give it some more time, Nick. But I do think it's just frustrating when he's not making the routine plays. He might make a couple unbelievable plays, and then that all averages out to a certain extent, or he becomes a better defensive player than someone else. But it's hard not to understand or rationalize why there aren't some people that are happy with Ellie. All right, we have a couple super chats before we do Reds MILB, and then we're going to do some Reds MILB. So. Super chat, Big C said, Mark and I are bringing good luck at GABP. That's right. So that's another thing that we're going to do from time to time on this show as well. We'll give out some tickets. Mark, Big C, they got some tickets from OTB this morning. A. Willis said he loves the Apple TV where you can listen to 700 with the game. This lineup just doesn't seem near as good enough versus left-handed pitching again. Not that it's new, it's just frustrating. And he's not wrong about that. He's not wrong about that. Like, and you know the thing that you keep harping back on though, that maybe defend the front office a little bit. They didn't expect that Noel Vey and Matt McLean weren't going to be available. But at the same time, I think it's fair. Solly, a good friend of the program, he's hammered the drum for a while now that they need to go out and find some folks that can help against left-handed pitching. Do you have any pushback, or do you have any kind of criticism or disappointment, perhaps, on the fact that we're in the same predicament again with left-handed pitching?
Yeah, it's one of those things. Where would this other person have played up until the Marte suspension? I guess after the Marte suspension, maybe they should have been a little more aggressive trying to find someone. But by the time McLean and Friedl happened, it was so late in the season. Who was even left at that point? Not Tyrone Taylor. Michael A. Taylor had already signed. I think Michael A. Taylor's fine, but he's not going to make your team great against left-handed pitching. Like, he's a guy that's a great defensive player that's just maybe a slightly above average hitter. So it's not something you can just fix with one little free agent signing. It's, I think, a little more complex than that. I got two things here, kind of going back to what you were talking about. First thing on Ellie. I watched a lot of Ellie in the minors, and look, I wasn't locked into every single game. Obviously, when I'm watching minor league games, I'm much more focused on the offensive side because I'm trying to watch multiple games at once usually. But I never really saw Ellie struggle a lot defensively. I think this is a bad stretch. I believe it or not, I'm probably less concerned about his defense than his offense. And I'm not really that concerned about his offense, but I don't think I think he'll be a fine. I think at worst, he's going to be an average shortstop. I think that's his absolute worst. So I'm not worried about that. If you want to be worried, that's fine. On the offensive start for Ellie and maybe some other guys, think back to April 2023. All right, let's go back.
Let's do. Take me back in the portal, Nick.
Jason Vossler was on fire. We were like, hey, maybe this guy should play first base every day. Henry Ramos came up, lit the world on fire. Will Benson was 0 for 20 or 1 for 20. Take a break. It's a long season. This is a very, 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 very small sample. If what you were seeing offensively from certain guys was in the middle of July, it would not even touch your radar. Take a breath. Let's see how the season plays out. Am I not allowed to do that?
You are. We just missed the playoffs by like 2 games last year. Just thinking back on the fact that we had Jason Vossler in the lineup to start the season was a little depressing. Just saying.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
I tried to make you feel better, and I made you feel worse. Reds MILB.
I feel fine. I feel fine. Do me some Reds MILB, and then we'll get into what's next. And I'm going to sit here, and I'm going to marvel at the chat because these guys bring it every night, and some of these folks in here are absolutely hilarious.
All right. Well, I spent some time on some graphics today, so you better believe we're going to run through this. We'll start off with Triple-A. They lost 6-5 to Gwinnett. Reese Hines 1 for 4 with a double. Blake Dunn, good to see him. Kind of struggled a little bit early in the year, but 2 for 5, stole 2 bags. Mike Ford, 2 for 3. Michael Trotwine, the star catching defender, was 2 for 4. And then Yasver Zuleta, first game with the Reds, struck out all 3 batters. This was a guy they claimed off waivers from the Blue Jays. Throws 100 miles per hour. Guy that was definitely some upside, but has some command issues. Second game, he got absolutely crushed. Tonight, he threw a shutout inning. So good to see Yasver Zuleta. Double-A, sorry to you guys. You did not make the cut list because you're in the 8th inning and you're down 12-0 to Birmingham, so you don't get a graphic. Sorry about you. And there's not really a whole lot of good players down there, to be honest. The Dayton Dragons, in their debut, their offense looked about like the Reds tonight. Cam Collier 1 for 4, Sal Stewart 0 for 4. Leo Balcazar really the only offensive player that had a good night, 2 for 4 with a double. But obviously the big story is Rhett Lauder. Looked really good, 4 innings. Just gave up 2 hits, no runs, walked 1, struck out 5. I actually listened to a little bit of this. I was kind of going back and forth with my audio. Tom Nichols, voice of the Dragons, I think he said in the first inning he was about 93 on his fastball. So man, Rhett Lauder, it's a matter of time before they just bump him up to Double-A. He's on borrowed time. So if you're in the area, I would highly recommend when you see Rhett Lauder's pitching, you go find a way to get there. And then our good pal Ian Chabot threw a nice inning, struck out 3, did get up a hit and a walk, but his first game on his rehab assignment. So a strong start for Rhett Lauder. And then the Daytona Tortugas. This team, man, they did this all last year, Trace. They blew a late lead. They did that a lot. They lost 5-4 in 10 innings to St. Lucie. Alfredo Duno was 1 for 4 with a walk in his debut. Guy that a lot of people are excited about. Tough debut for Ricardo Cabrera, 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Carlos Sanchez, that was the guy that Trey Hendricks, Reds International Scouting Director, told me is one of the most underrated players in the Red system.
Not tonight.
Smith, he had a tough one. E. Smith Pineda was 2 for 5. And then Connor Burns, he's the catching prospect. Bryce talked about on the podcast this morning. He likes him a lot. He had a home run. I think it was really crushed. I think it was the StatCast was like 106 or something like that. But that's your Reds MILB. We'll call them presented by DSC Commodities.
That's right.
Shout out DSC enough.
No, we cannot. And I'm hopeful to add 1 or 2 more folks on the board here relatively soon to continue to support us and what we're doing. And I just want to say again, the OGs are in here. Friday night, baby. We got some OGs in here. This is the grit crowd. You're in the chat right now. It's the grit crowd. Not lost on me, baby. Not lost on me. 160 in the chat, 450 in the chat when we win. The 160, though, those are the true nut cutters. Those are the people that are there when you need them. Those are the people that stop and fix your tire on the side of the road. Okay? Those are the people that some would say go to heaven. I won't go that far. But what I will say is I appreciate you. Don't let it be lost on you. No dunks tonight, no pillows tonight, no fun tonight. And yeah, it stinks, the capital S. But you know what we get to do, Nick? We get to play tomorrow. And that means there's tomorrow's starters. Who is it? What are they doing? Where are they from?
All right, Nick Martinez making his second start with the Reds. This will be his first career start against the Mets, Trace. He's just made 4 relief appearances. Martinez, of course, his first time out. Really good through the first 4 against the Nats, but then kind of ran into trouble in the 5th. See if he can put it together for a little bit longer on Saturday. This is 410 Bally Sports Ohio. Back to our guy, John Sadak and Barry Larkin. Luis Severino for the Mets. Severino is a guy that was finished 3rd in the Cy Young back in 2017. He had a heck of a start to his career, but then he had Tommy John in 2020 and then a whole bunch of other injuries. Mets kind of signing him on a 1-year, $13 million contract. He Trace was one of the guys, kind of along with Frankie Montas, that was kind of like you could, take a guy on a 1-year flyer. So Mets went with him. His debut against the Brewers, he gave up 11 hits, 6 runs, only 3 of them were earned. He's got a 3.29 ERA in his career against the Reds. Made 1 start last year against the Reds. It was a GABP. Only went 4 and 2/3 innings, but did give up just 1 run. And then some Reds against Severino. The bad first. Candelario is just 1 for 10 with 5 Ks. Espinal is 1 for 6. I wouldn't expect him in the lineup. Stuart Fairchild's 2 for 3. Luke Mailey 3 for 10. And Spencer Steer 1 for 2 with a double.
You know one guy that I'm proud of? Jonathan India. Seriously. Good at bats.
Yeah.
I like Jonathan India. Playing great. Someone say leader. All right, folks. We'll be back better than ever tomorrow. We appreciate you. We love you. Like I said, sometimes when you play, you don't win. That's how it goes. Now, you like to win. You don't strand 25 runners. One would think that you have a better chance of winning. We'll find out if we can do that tomorrow. But as always, this has been Off the Bench. Please do us a favor if you haven't already. We do this time and time again, but maybe you're new. Maybe you don't know. Please like the stream. It helps us out. Please also go to the podcast. Give us a 5-star review. And as always, go Reds. We love you. Take care of yourselves. And get back in here tomorrow and we'll have a fun time. All right? Good night, everybody.